Welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast that helps entrepreneurs go all in on their business, and we introduce them to professionals that can help them to do so. Today, we have a very special guest. Jeff, how are you doing today?
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Excellent. Please introduce yourself and the name of your business.
Certainly. I'm Jeff Daxe, and I'm a partner with Ingram, Johnson, and Steele. It's a law firm in Marietta, Georgia.
Awesome. We so look forward to learning more about what it is that you do. But before that, we want to learn a little bit more about your journey. And we understand that time is one of our most valuable resources. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Sure. Army brat growing up, moved all over the Southeast, always considered Georgia home. And so when I was in college, I knew I wanted to work in Georgia. So I came during the Summer Olympics to give it a test run, put my foot in the shallow end just to see how I liked it. I liked it. I interviewed for jobs in 96 and got the job that I currently have in 96. I started in 97.
Okay, nice. That's a good deal. Now, we know that you're an attorney. Been doing that for a while. Did you have an influence when you were growing up as far as having attorneys in your family, or is this something you struck out to do on your own?
It was something I did on my own. In fact, that made me sort of unique at law school. It seemed like everyone in law school already knew the law because of a parent or a mentor of some sort, and I didn't. I didn't have that. It was just something that I decided I wanted to do once I started summer jobs that involved the law.
Okay. Now, I know there's so many different practices out there, and you went into a business realm. Was it where you were just having some classes and then you say, hey, I like this better than personal injury, or I like this better than real estate? What pushed you towards that?
So actually, it was testing things out to see what I didn't like.
Okay.
So I knew there were areas of the law that I didn't want to go into, which then left open certain doors. But I met my wife in law school, and she had an HR background, and so she was an employment lawyer here in Atlanta, and people in my office just asked me questions so that I could go home at dinner and ask my wife. And eventually, osmosis, I learned her area of law and developed it into my practice area.
Okay, that's a good deal. Now, you're a unique business owner, partner that's in the chair today because you have been with your company for 28 years, and that's really the only place that you have been. So when I talk about burning the ship, you burnt it very, very early. So what is it that made you burn the ship and say, I'm going to go in with this company and stay there for 28 years?
When I interviewed in 96, I met the founders, the partners that I worked with, and they had vision.
Okay.
And I was excited by their vision. I interviewed at other firms, and at the other firms, I felt like I would just be a piece of the machine. But it felt like I could grow and make it a home. And ultimately, when I started, that's what happened. There were 18 people when I interviewed. There were 25 when I started, and now we've grown to over 100.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing success that you've had. Now, I know in the realm of business law, it's so many different parts and pieces that we can go into, but today I know we want to focus on one specifically. Tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do and how you're helping people.
Sure. So my focus is employment law, and some people call it labor law, employment law. I treat it sort of similarly, but basically it's HR issues.
Okay.
It's those are the issues that people deal with when they're interviewing, when they're being hired, when they're working in the workplace, and most common when they've been let go.
Okay. Now with it, we want to try to build a great framework of what it is that you do and what it feels like to work with you. Do you mind sharing with us what an engagement looks like, or why would someone, an employee, try to hire you for your particular services?
Sure. I'll give two answers to your one question. First of all, employment law is a niche area. So oftentimes somebody who works will not know a specific employment law lawyer. They'll know other lawyers in different areas, and if those folks try to answer the questions, they don't have necessarily the skill set, having dealt with it every day for 20 years, to know all the nuance. So first of all, being niche in employment law is important. And second of all, what I found is most employment lawyers, they're either billboard lawyers that'll take cases on a contingency fee. If you've got a $100,000 claim, they're happy to take a piece. Or they're working for companies.
Okay.
And they're on the employer side. And very few lawyers will take an employee case and I do it on a flat fee.
Okay.
So what I do is if an employee needs to have a non-compete looked at or a severance agreement looked at or an employment contract or independent contract agreement reviewed, I can review that document, answer all questions, and for a simple flat fee, it's done.
Okay. Now, a lot of times, just normal consumers can be afraid of the process of working with an attorney. Now, and I know it varies, but tell us a little bit about one of your most recent engagements so we can really put some great broad strokes on the picture so people can understand what it is that you're doing.
Sure. A very recent similar type of engagement was I got a referral to a client who was 55, who was told it was time for him to retire.
Oh.
And he wasn't planning on retiring at age 55, but he was told that he had been with the company so long that the company wanted to smooth things over by announcing his retirement.
Okay.
And he came to me concerned because he wasn't interested in retiring at that point, but he knew he was on the way out.
Yes.
And so we talked about, let them call it whatever they want to call it if the severance agreement offer is enough of a windfall for him. Turns into a windfall. It was a windfall. He's reviewed the agreement. We reviewed it together. I answered all of his questions, and they're going to have a party with cake. He's going to get a windfall payment, and then he'll be free to do whatever he wants to do for the next chapter of his life.
Yeah, that is awesome how you protected him in that particular case of just not getting let go, but making sure that he had that golden parachute that we talk about all the time. So thank you so much for painting that pretty picture for us. Now, I know we met through networking, and we talk a lot about referral partners. In this particular business that you're in now, do you mind sharing with us who would be some of those good referral partners that we could possibly connect you with?
Sure. They fall into two categories. The first category is probably the most obvious. It's other lawyers. Okay. You've got lots and lots of lawyers who stay in their lane and they only do the one thing they do, whether it's bankruptcy or tax or disability or business formation, whatever it is, that's their niche. But they have friends and neighbors that ask them questions just like you'd ask a doctor, I've got an itch, doc, what is it?
Right.
And the doc says, I don't know. I operate on kids' hearts.
Yes.
So everyone has their niche, and those lawyers that get those questions, as long as they know me, they can refer those cases to me, just like I can refer cases to them in their subspecialty.
Okay.
The second category, which isn't as easy to articulate, is new business owners, I have found, tend to have one of 5 different people as their first point of contact that they call with every problem. Sometimes it's their business coach, sometimes it's their banker, sometimes it's their insurance person, sometimes it's their corporate lawyer, but whatever the problem is, they invariably call that person even if it's not in their field.
Yes.
And that person has to make referrals to the right part of the team. And so it's the commercial banker, the commercial insurance person, it's those people, the CPAs,
Yes.
they are part of the network of trusted advisors for a business owner. And so long as I interact with them, then they'll know if there's a niche issue for employment law that they can refer to me, just like I can refer business issues to them.
Awesome. Now, I know you've been in the industry for a while now, and I want to talk about some of those accolades or some of those things that you have done while you have been in the industry. Now, I know you've been a board member on a couple of nonprofits. You deal a lot with the chamber. Tell us a little bit about the importance of getting yourself out there with networking. How has that been a success for you?
So sort of separate from the networking would be the nonprofit world and just trying to give back. And I think that's first and foremost important. And in fact, if you go in my office and look at the accolades, most of them relate to nonprofit work. whether it's pro bono activity, whether it's being on the board at VRS, Vision Rehabilitation Services, serving on the board now of the Smyrna Education Foundation, so giving back.
Okay.
Separate from that, I think it's very important in terms of networking to figure out what fits you best.
Okay.
Lots of people try to do, I think, too much, and that's fine if you're just trying to sample things in order to find out what is best for you.
Okay.
But once you figure it out, I think it's more important to stick with it and to develop stronger, deeper relationships. And I was able to accomplish that through the Chamber, through Leadership Cobb, and through the book club, the Mastermind Business Builders Book Club.
Nice, nice. Now, that leads us directly into the next segment of the show, which is best practices or business skills. Now, I've worked with you for a while, and I know how knowledgeable you are on an array of subjects, but I wanted to see if you could share with us some of those best practices or business skills that you have acquired and nurtured over time that have helped you to be successful. Maybe the listeners can add it to their mix and try to strive toward that same success.
Sure. I think probably two things. One skill set driven by what I do is being very, very scared of deadlines.
Okay.
And making sure not to miss deadlines. And of course, if somebody's in a lawsuit or there's an important deadline relating to a court case, that's first and foremost. But taking that into your personal life, when I make promises and I give folks commitments, making sure that I keep track of the deadline when I owe something to somebody else, and making sure that I'm building enough time in advance of that deadline to make sure I can meet that deadline so that it's both professionally and personally that I can be counted on. And if you're somebody that can be counted on because you don't miss deadlines, then you'll put yourself at the top of the list for new opportunities.
Yes, this makes a lot of sense because it really helps you to stay accountable if you plan ahead of that deadline. That is a very big skill that some people don't like to do. We talked about it just yesterday with procrastination or, creative avoidance. And this seems like a perfect follow-up for that, to make sure that people are just staying on top of doing what they say they're going to do. Now, for yourself, again, I know that you have so much knowledge in there, and most of the time, I just let the guests go by with giving away one of those skills. Do you mind sharing with us one more? Because I know you have so much in that brain of yours.
I think it's really important to, when you say you're going to do something, don't make it aspirational.
Okay.
Don't just hope that it gets done. If you say you're going to do something, you really have to follow up and do it. What that then means is you can't offer everyone everything. You have to make sure that you're not spreading yourself too thin. Don't promise things that you know you can't accomplish, or your history suggests that you're going to have a difficult time with because of other commitments. So once you make a commitment, honor it, but don't spread yourself too thin by trying to do too much.
Thank you so much. And I only asked and pressed a little bit more because I know you got a wealth of knowledge up there. Like I say, you have helped me out with so many things in the time that I spent with you in the networking group that I just wanted you to try to get another couple things out. Now, we've talked a lot about your journey. We've talked about the business, and more importantly, we've talked about some of those business skills that can help some of the entrepreneurs and business leaders that are watching this show today. But now I want to talk a little bit about you specifically. Let's just say that the business is continuing to come along well. Time and money is not an issue at all. What is it that Jeff would do with his time?
I think certainly I would continue with the work, whether that's increasing the mix of pro bono versus paying clients and just changing the mix a little bit. That if you have the flexibility that you've just described,
Yes.
Then that would be something I probably would do more of. Certainly, as you know, I've been skiing since age 3. My kids have been skiing since they were age 3. So that's a nice family activity. I'd love to be able to do more of with the kids. It's more challenging with different schedules, kids in and out of college, but there are solutions if I have enough time to work on that.
Yeah, it's no problem because we got all the money and we got all the time. Since we have that, and since you've been going since the age of 3, I'm sure you have slid down a bunch of mountains. Which mountain would you say is your favorite, or where's your favorite place to go?
You know, I just got back from Winter Park, and that reconfirmed that it is my favorite mountain that I've been to.
Okay, it's just skis or is it
Just skis.
snowboarding?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
you
no.
slalom jumping, any of those things? Nothing like
I
that?
used to race.
Okay.
I've blown out my knee.
Okay.
I used to race in college,
Okay.
but I no longer race, and now I am smooth and easy.
Smooth and easy. Well, that's a good deal. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's always important for the people that are watching to not only understand that you're a magnificent attorney, but you do have a life outside of that, and that's why you work so hard, so you can enjoy those things with your family. Now, if the people that are watching today have questions about your journey or your business, or just want to learn more about you, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
So certainly it's easy. I've been at the same place since 1997, same address, same phone number, same website. So www.mijs.com. All of my contact information is there at Moore, Ingram, Johnson, and Steele in Marietta. That's the best way of reaching me.
That is more than awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Tell us about yourself and your journey and how to get in contact with you. And we always honor our guests by giving you guys the last word. So if you don't mind, please look into the camera and tell the people something good.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes.
I really appreciate being here and the involvement. And if I had one final piece of advice, sort of reiterating a point that I started with, it's don't spread yourself too thin. Once you figure out what it is that works best for you, then I think it's best to settle and try to deepen relationships so that you have real depth and real commitment as opposed to just a lot of acquaintances.
Awesome. Thanks again for coming on the show today. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And to everyone that is watching, be kind and thanks.